Hello, welcome back, day 15. I must say, I am losing track of the days. We are talking about nostalgia. I realized some journalists combined, I think it was day 6, childhood memories and nostalgia. You can either journal about it again or a different version of it, or you can journal about something else. The technique stays the same. It's packing tape transfers, and with packing tape, I mean this clear tape that you wrap boxes with. It's a super simple technique, and it gives some interesting effects. So I've prepared a whole lot in various states of completion, and then we can discuss some pitfalls and the uses of them. So I'm going to show you how to do it first, and hopefully it works. So you need pictures. I have done, this is scrapbook paper, that works. This is from a magazine insert, that works. This is very thick, like you can see, packaging, that works. Things from encyclopedias work. I've used something from the actual paper pack, that works. I've used something that I thought would never ever work, and that was a vintage magazine from the 50s with almost newspaper type paper, that worked. So far I've yet to encounter something that doesn't work. I've also done it with brown tape, that works. It gives a different effect, but it works. And I have done it with Decifix. I'm not going to say it doesn't work, but it doesn't work as easily or as well, or I missed a step. So you are limited by the width of your tape, and I don't know if you actually get broader tape. So you need to, oh, that's a horrible sound on camera, I'm sure. You need to lay your, whatever you want to transfer, right side over the tape. And you can see this one of mine is the tape is too thin, but it'll go. And then the very, very, very important step, and you cannot skimp on it, and you cannot miss it, and you cannot take a shortcut on it, is don't make a bubble like me. It's not the end of the world. You can generally smooth it out. And then you have to burnish, because the thing needs very good contact. So you can't just stick it like this. Although it's stuck, it's not burnished. I use my scissors and I just rub and rub and rub and rub. And it's not a like stroke. You are rubbing it, because if it doesn't get very, very good contact, you're going to have a bad transfer. And then what I do is I look from the side, and from the side you can generally see, and then just go in with your nail or something, you can generally see if the ink sort of seems not solid. I can't show it on camera, but you'll see it. And then I trim off the excess paper, because you will be getting rid of paper once it goes into the water, which is the next step. So the less excess paper you have, the better. So this I don't actually think is burnished enough. So really I cannot stress the burnishing step enough, and actually just change directions when you burnish too, because that's the big deal. So that's that one. Let's do it with these two too, so you can see I'm not faking it. So that's that. The next step is pouring boiling water, like straight out the kettle on. I don't have access to water where I am on my loft, so I've put it in a little flask. It should work. Actually, you can do your wrong side, it doesn't really matter. Wrong side up, and you'll see it sort of cools and things, and then you just leave it for a bit, because obviously this is now hot. You can just prod it so that it stays under, And then when the water has cooled down enough for you to touch it, you'll go with the next step. The water is still quite hot, but you'll see the paper starting to lift, and if you roll your thumb or your finger over it, some of it will start going away. So like the background, the back page, you are not scrubbing, you are not rubbing, you are gently caressing and rolling. If you go crazy, you will lift the whole thing. And you just carry on like this. Can you see it rolling like little almost like what you get when you erase stuff. And you can rinse in between rubbings and put it back in the water. But basically whoopsie, once you wet it again, more will come off. But that is a packing tape transfer. It's semi-translucent, it's thin, it's slightly glossy. I mean, packing tape is, but it's not, so it doesn't look like it's a piece of packing tape. It's almost like you created like your own sticker or your own washi tape. It gives, especially on vintage pictures, which I'll show you now, it gives a very like a ghost image almost. Even this one, it's different, and especially if you use it on the page, it gives an interesting layer and an interesting texture. The noise in the background, there's a massive storm rolling in, so that works. You can see this is the other one, again same procedure. There's some pressure, but like you're not scrubbing. I don't know what you want to call these things, fruffles. Sometimes it just pulls off completely, but you're not done. You have to keep rubbing. And there you can see the beautiful ladies coming through, even on the back. So it's almost like magic. It does take longer than what you may think to get this excess paper off. I'm going to show you some of my works in progress now that I left overnight, because sometimes you think you're done and you leave it to dry, and when it's dry you can see the paper residue again. So that's that. Here, let's try a scrapbook one. Some of the thicker papers obviously needs a little bit more work because there's more layers to get off, but it works. So, oh, my light's failing. So it's wash, rub, wash, rub, wash, rub, repeat, and as you go. And can you see this one's getting more and more translucent? So it's almost like you end with a printed acetate vellum that's bendable. You'll see it when you do it. It's very easy to do. It's very quick to do. And as I've said, I haven't tried it with a serviette yet, but I've tried it with just about any other paper that I can think about, and it works. This isn't my idea by any means. I saw it on Instagram somewhere. I'm going to show you the originals versus the packing tape transfer, and then you can see the difference in texture and look. So this is a little birdie scrapbook paper. This is the packing tape transfer. I let it dry. Can you see the white? So there's no white, so that is done. Everywhere where it's white, I still need to rub, even though it looked like I was done. So this needs another soak, and then the white all goes off, and then you end up with the little birds. So that's how it would look on a page versus that. It's a different weight that you get, and plus you lose the background. This is the first lady that I did, same as the one I just did. This one's pretty good because the background was printed, but there's a bit more to take off. My favorite ones are these ones. There you can see, do you see that line? That's where I had a fold in my tape. This is from a encyclopedia. So, like, the lady is completely see-through. So if you then start adding her on a page, what have I got next to me? Like over words or something, you get some interesting effects. It's like an X-ray. So those ones are cool. But again, the little white bits that I still need to rub off. And this is still sticky, like even after being wetted and rubbed, somehow the tape remains sticky, which is bizarre. This was a Kaisercraft piece of scrapbook paper. This, I would say, it's a very faint print. You can definitely see it, but it needs a background. But again, I'm not done. There's still fluffies. This was my DC Fix. So either I didn't burnish it well, because that transferred perfectly. But this, when I rubbed everything off. Because if you can get the DC Fix to work, you're not as limited in how big your transfer can be. So I think that maybe needs some work, but again, it needs a lot of, do you see the white? Now I don't want to rub more and rub everything off. So I think there's potential, but it needs work. Then I did some brown packaging tape. You get a completely different look. This sheep is from the paper pack. It's almost like the other side is maybe the better one to use, which is also quite cool because it's very crisp and very clear. But again, do you see the white that needs to be rubbed off? But this is the wrong side and still completely sticky. But you can use this side, but it's not as clear, obviously, because it's going through a much darker color. But that's quite an interesting look. And then this one was also a brown paper, except I stuck vellum at the back. So it's like a vintage, I don't know. So it's cool. If you only have brown, you can definitely use it. This was from the Vintage Sari magazines. If you were a box subscriber, I think November boxes had these ones in. So that's like newspaper print, and I've rubbed most of it off. So that's also, I like the translucence that you get. So that is the interesting bit to me. And then the last one I did is you can't see it. It's a little angel, one of the little angels from the pack. But once you put it on a background, there it appears. So some really interesting effects. That's all I can say. Why I like the packing tape. It adds some layers on pages without adding any weight or any bulk. So give it a go. Let's see what we can do for a page. I'm going to work, it's the opposite page to my page 4, the one with the waterfall journaling, because I had used can you see? It says remember this as the text. So there's one page here, and the other side is part of the Christmas cards. I mean, the journal's coming together. This is from the Vintage magazine. It's not fully stripped, if I can call it that, but I like the look, and then that sits quite nicely, and then the colors work quite well. I'm a little bit nostalgic for like big meals. We often travel over Christmas overseas, or just stay home. So I very rarely see my family for Christmas. I also don't really like big crowds. I get quite stressed preparing things for big crowds. But I do think about, how things used to be when you were a kid, and there was just so much food and crackers and the whole thing. So I think the cash date is a nice bit of nostalgia. So being nostalgic for something doesn't mean you want it, but there's a little bit of a yearning. So that's where I am now. Oops, there we go. So there's a bit of shine you can see because of the packing tape, but at the same time you can see all of the detail behind the words. The tape still stays surprisingly sticky, so I'm just using some Prit so that you don't see the glue to put it on the page. I'm also adding my little shame the sheep lost its leg because the packing tape wasn't wide enough, so I've added that just on a little scrap piece of paper. So I think I'll do a layered embellishment of that. But then that gives you an idea that you can still see what's going on there, and I'll have that as a little flap up writing space in the corner. I think I'm going to take, this is a piece of parchment like what you line cake tins with. I've just folded into quarters, and I'm going to put it on my page like a fan, but then it can fold open, and I'll do my writing in there, hidden journaling. Because my feelings are a bit ambivalent, and I think that's part of nostalgia. And then this is one of the layered embellishments I did, and I'll have that on top. It's just to get these 3 things. I don't mind it, but they're a little bit, I think this maybe needs like inking or something. Okay, I'll see what I can do. I've added some distress sprays, and then I waxed it just to get the color a bit better, and then that's one of the cluster thing. And then I just wrote with my, I meant to write, never mind. I don't like the page. I think we all have days like that. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to make it better. I like that, and I like that, and I like this idea, but I'm not sure I like all of them together. So if you've got comments, I'll happily hear them. This was day 15. Looking at the page, I think this should have just been turned, 45 degrees. I think it's the angle that's the problem. Any case, so you learn. Tomorrow we are having light a candle as the prompt. So it's thinking about people who cannot be with us during this time. So it can be just family and friends maybe missing because of corona, but also departed family members. And we're looking at some waxed paper, some wax seals. So get your candle stubs and your iron ready. Waxed paper gives a really nice effect, as I'll show you. I dismantled the whole page, and now my page is torn. But yes, it had to be this way. That is better. The fan thing was wrong, so now it's an okay page. I still don't like it, but it's okay. Alright, see you tomorrow.